There are stories in this country that history has tried to bury. Stories hidden beneath progress, politics, and silence. Yet some places refuse to forget. For the Muscogee people, Hickory Ground is not simply land, it is sacred ground. Today we examine one of the most heartbreaking and culturally significant battles in modern Native history through the voices of tribal leaders, legal advocates, historians, and those carrying the burden of memory itself. This is not simply a story about land, it is a story about identity, sovereignty, loss, survival, and a question that still remains unanswered: what do we owe the ancestors? This is the story of Hickory Ground. There are places in this country where history does not rest quietly in the past. Places where memory breathes, where the ground itself remembers what was taken and what has yet to be returned. This is one of those places, Hickory Ground, a sacred Muscogee town, a burial ground, a mother place. And for more than 20 years, it has been the site of a tragedy still unfolding.
Hickory Ground is one of these 44. In the Muscogee language, we call it Ogiabova. And Hickory Ground actually has very strong ties and roots from Coosa chiefdom, which is documented. The earliest documentation is in 1539 by Hernando de Soto, who came in his entrada coming through the southeast and encountered the Coosa chiefdom, who he said was the most powerful people within the southeastern region. Coosa descendants, come to become Hickory Ground. The ceremonial fire that is central to our customs and traditions as Muscogee people, and the stomp dance green corn ceremony was carried over 800 miles on the Trail of Tears to be relocated and reestablished in Oklahoma, and it still burns today. And so Hickory Ground is also the mother town of some of our other tribal towns. So they have a very important role in our history. Today, they're still active.
It was not our choice to leave our ancestors due to the Indian Removal Act. And like Jeb said, the Poarch Band was able to get recognized and able to purchase the land where our ceremonial ground was located. But after a 20-year covenant, that's when excavation started. And at the very beginning, we made a trip down there and we saw where the excavations had ground disturbance had taken place. Back then, there was nothing on it. And we had a meeting with the chairman, and he asked me what my options were. And I told him right there that just put the remains back in the ground and let it go back to nature. But that never did happen. So as of today, that's the big issue that we are facing. The human remains are at Auburn University.
What followed was not consultation, but desecration.
Today, our ancestors are stored in Rubbermaid tote boxes, not climate controlled, mold growing in the storage facility of Auburn University. And most recently, they denied Miko Thompson's claim, and many of our claims, of direct descendancy to those that they excavated.
If we were talking about Arlington Cemetery, people would not be okay with it. If Auburn went in and dug up 57 people from Arlington Cemetery and said, no, we're not returning them, we're not letting them be reburied, they're going to stay here. And that's what happened here. You know, Hickory Ground is equivalent to Arlington Cemetery, to Muscogee Creek Nation. And I think, you know, it's just the conversation shifts when we're talking about native burial grounds, and it shouldn't. There shouldn't be any kind of different levels of respect for burial grounds. You know, if we're talking about a mostly white cemetery versus a native cemetery, they should all be protected.
NAGPRA, the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, was designed to prevent this, yet here it failed.
At the end of the day, tribal sovereign immunity and tribal sovereignty shouldn't be used as a shield to do unlawful acts. If we're going to prop that up and say, actually, no one should look under the veil here, no one should talk about what happened at Hickory Ground, no one should challenge Poarch Band's actions because that might undermine tribal sovereignty for us all. The moment tribal sovereignty becomes a shield for unlawful, bad acts, we're undermining the tribal sovereignty of all of our tribes. Yeah. Because tribal sovereignty, what is it built on? It's built on the unique culture of our tribes. Yes, it's built on our political existence and the fact that, yes, we existed as political sovereigns before the United States was even invented. But part of the reason why we are separate political sovereigns is because of our languages, is because of our cultural ways, is because of our political structures. All of that is tied into our culture and our life ways. If we destroy our culture and our life ways, we have no sovereignty. Then we are just fully assimilated U.S. citizens. And then I predict, and a lot of experts who have fought for tribal sovereignty for decades have predicted, the day we lose our language and our culture, we lose our sovereignty.
And I think everything has memory, and I think memory doesn't just stay in the past. As we know, memory emerges in us, and it's in our present. And I think it moves through past, present, and future. There's a kind of timelessness. And so that place is a rooted place, and it's a place that continues in those whose families and the people have emerged from there, and that includes the plant species, that includes the waters, that includes that essence is in our memory, just as it's in our bones or in the DNA. If those grounds could speak, and I'm sure right now it's pretty agitated. The casino goes against it. It's disruptive, and the way the casino happened is disruptive. And the way the monies of the casino are being used to buy influence, to make a false story, that's disruptive. And it's disruptive to the land. It's disruptive to the ancestors and the descendants. It's disruptive to even, the people there. It's disruptive to those who are claiming to be Muscogee, or to any, it's the disruption.
For Muscogee people, disturbance is not metaphorical, it is spiritual, physical, communal.
Well, it means everybody I miss. It means my, grandmother, my aunts, uncles, their stories, how much love they have for a place, for each other. That's what it means. And it's like you can't, like when you have a toothache or something going on and you don't feel at rest until you go get it taken care of. Sand in your shoe, so to speak. It's kind of like that. It needs to be put to rest in more ways than one, It does. And there needs to be a healing, and that's with those people too. There's people who have done this and continue to pay people off, continue to buy off. For what? Because they want to own the world? They want to own, they want to have dominion over lands that aren't, were not given to them to take care of. I mean, there's got to be a way to tell this story so that maybe they would understand the immensity of what has happened. I mean, that somebody would dig up a national historic place is shocking in the first place. And that they would, there's no consequences because people are being bought off. The truth of the matter here is that Hickory Ground in that area is one of the largest cultural, iconic places in the country. Just like the Battle of Horseshoe Bend was even larger than Little Bighorn. People don't know about it in this struggle to keep our homes. And Hickory Ground was, a major cultural center for our people. And it was a National Historic Site. That's why it is. Not all of the grounds were made National Historic Sites. That's because the potency and the importance of that place was known, nationally. And for it to be desecrated and a casino built over it is preposterous.
For the audience that is not maybe well versed in this issue, we want all of Indian country to know that if this experience we have faced for 20 years or more is allowed to continue, it could happen to another tribe, and that is not good for Indian country. It disrupts our whole cosmos.
This is not a story about the past. It is about what we choose to honor now. The question is no longer whether Hickory Ground remembers. The question is, will we? The story of Hickory Ground is not confined to history books, courtrooms, or political debate. It lives in memory, in ceremony, in the voices of descendants still fighting to protect what remains sacred. For many, this is about justice long delayed. For others, it is about accountability. But for the Muscogee people, it is something even deeper, a responsibility to those who came before and to those yet to come. Thank you for joining us for this important conversation. For more information about Hickory Ground, the ongoing efforts for justice, and ways to learn more, please visit MuscogeeNation.com, Justice for Hickory Ground. Thank you for listening and for remembering. This is Beyond the Art.